You're sitting at home recuperating from an accident where you sustained a fracture of one of your bones and you're wondering, what is my case worth? I'm contemplating bringing a lawsuit. What happens next? My name is Dallin Fuchs and I'm a partner at Quella Fisher Washoe Fuchs & Cool, and we handle personal injury cases like this every day. And I want to talk to you today about your type of injury. Well, you should know that in evaluating the monetary value of fractures, courts, insurance companies, lawyers, and judges look at what different types of fractures a person has suffered. And again, it could be to any part of your body, but I'm going to talk to you generally about the types of fractures, and certainly one of these types of fractures will fall into your category. There's something what we call a simple fracture, where there's a closed reduction. And those sound like fancy words, but it basically just means there's a fracture of the bone, and in order to reduce the fracture, which means just to put the fracture or the bone back in place, it can be done without opening up any body part. It can be done by a doctor by just moving the bones from outside of the skin, or perhaps it doesn't require any movement to put the bone back in place at all. That's a simple fracture. Then what we have is what's called an open fracture. That's a fracture of the bone that actually comes through the skin. That's generally considered more serious because there's more complications that can be associated with that type of fracture. Then we have what's called a fracture with an open reduction internal fixation. Again, that sounds fancy, but what that means is that you have a fracture, and in order to put it in place, you can't just do it from outside the skin. What you have to do is you have to put actual plates or hardware or screws into the bone in order to hold them in place. That's an even more serious type of fracture. The next level in terms of seriousness of a fracture is what we call, again, an open reduction with internal fixation, where you put the screws, plates, and hardware into the bone, but it's also at a joint. Okay? It's called an intra-articular fracture because bones articulate, they move. And when you have an open reduction or a fracture at a joint, it's considered even more serious because it's generally associated with even worse complications, where you may have a more permanent injury, you may need future surgery to take the hardware out, and it generally just causes more pain. So you had a fracture. These are the different gradations or types of fractures where juries and lawyers and insurance companies, when they're negotiating your case, they consider these types of fractures and how bad they are in determining the severity of your injury. And of course, all cases are different as well, because we're always going to look at how your particular injury, how your particular fracture affects your daily living and the impact it has on how much money you can earn, assuming it limits what you can do at work or whether you can or cannot return to work. My name is Dallin Fuchs. Thank you for watching.